After my husband Lucas passed away, I was consumed by grief. While sorting through his belongings, I discovered he'd been using the pen name Highland to publish heartfelt letters in newspapers. I spent days poring over old issues, searching for traces of his love. Just as I resolved to revisit our college days, I stumbled upon the campus confession wall. Dearest Chloe, I can't stand in the way of your brighter future, but I'll keep you in my heart forever. If letting go proves too hard, let me be the one to release you, Highland. So he'd loved Chloe all along, not Evelyn. When I woke up, I found myself transported back to the year my love burned hottest. This time, I turned away without looking back. Mom, are you sure about this? My son watched anxiously as I packed. What? Think your mom's too old for adventures? I carefully arranged the yellowed newspapers in my suitcase, maintaining cheerful composure. His gaze lingered on the clippings. Those are Dad's things. Why bring them? I gently smoothed the brittle pages. These are the most precious gifts your father left me. They'll keep me company on the journey. It had been 6 weeks since Lucas's passing when I discovered the letters. After 53 years of quiet companionship, I never imagined such depth of feeling. His final letter read, Beloved C. The osmanthus trees along our path must be blooming again. How I long to walk there with you once more. My whole heart compensating for this failing body. Dated 2 months before his death, when cancer had already confined him to a wheelchair. That same osmanthus grove where he'd first returned my bold confession. Where we'd shared our first kiss. He'd wanted to revisit our beginnings without burdening me. Now I'd make that pilgrimage for us both. My son's conflicted expression softened when I said, You're getting married soon. You understand about keeping promises, don't you? I'm just visiting Dad's alma mater. I'll be back before your wedding. The plane's engines roared to life, carrying me across continents like some starry-eyed girl chasing romance. The university welcomed alumni warmly. Beneath the osmanthus tree's golden blossoms, I unfolded Lucas's final letter. Petals drifted onto the salutation C. He'd always called me Evelyn. Never used initials. Was this his greeting from beyond? The confession wall where we'd once left voice recordings now displayed digital declarations. In the archives, among decades of student romances, my blood turned to ice seeing familiar handwriting. Dearest Chloe, I can't stand in the way of your brighter future. A nearby student mistook my shock for interest. That's Highland. He loved Chloe Peterson but let her go so she'd study abroad. When her family opposed them, he married someone else but kept writing these beautiful letters. We all adore their tragic love story. She peered at me excitedly. They'd be about your age. Grandma. Did you know them? No. I don't know you. The cognitive dissonance left me disoriented. Suddenly feeling timid. I couldn't admit being the unloved one in this story. So Chloe was never Evelyn Miller, but Chloe Peterson. How could I accept that the husband who'd sworn to grow old with me had carried someone else in his heart all along? Those passionate declarations I'd believed were his parting gift to sustain me through widowhood, the solace that kept me clinging to our spiritual bond while navigating the tsunami of grief, turned out to be encrypted messages. Newspaper columns printed simultaneously overseas weren't memorials for me, but carrier pigeons bearing his faint yet profound longing across the ocean. Wandering the city streets like a ghost? I jumped when my phone rang. My son's hesitant tone crystallized the truth I'd been avoiding. Between his urgent pleas for my return, I whispered, Did you always know your father loved someone else? That's why he'd frowned when I archived those yellowed newspapers. Why his mouth twitched with contempt when I suggested revisiting our old haunts. Even his worried farewell had been pity, not concern. The line went deathly quiet. What's the point now? He finally said. 2 lifetimes of sacrifice bought your happiness. You should be grateful. But who would compensate for my lifetime of illusions? No one forced their separation. True love shouldn't require obliterating another soul. Even my own flesh and blood dismissed my devastation. My entire marriage crumbled into ash in that moment. I let the calls go unanswered for 3 days. On the 3rd afternoon, I boarded a bus with no destination. Would I have loved Lucas so fiercely knowing I was his consolation prize? The answer clawed at my throat. Darkness crept into my vision as searing pain gripped my chest. When I opened my eyes, 18-year-old Lucas stood before me under the ginkgo tree. Textbooks tucked under his arm. Cardiac arrest on a bus, Rebirth in the summer of 1983. I stepped back instinctively as he approached, crushing the love letter in my sweating palm. Evelyn? His smile faltered as I retreated across scattered ginkgo blossoms. This was the moment, the scripted scene where original Evelyn would kiss him, driving Chloe to emigrate heartbroken. The prelude to my gilded cage of borrowed affection. Evelyn, his velvet voice usually melted me. Now it clarified like developer solution on film. The boy before me wasn't my soulmate, but an architect of 3 ruined lives. I inhaled petrichor-scented air heavy with possibilities, clutching the rewritten script of my second chance. I used to love it when he called me Evelyn. Lucas' voice was mesmerizing, and the way he said Evelyn carried a world of affection. But through my entire life, that name was never truly mine. I absolutely wouldn't repeat last lifetime's mistakes. Don't call me Evelyn. I instinctively snapped. Lucas froze mid-step, seizing his momentary hesitation. I turned and walked away. His attempt to follow got interrupted by Chloe bursting through the corridor. You lied. There's no other girl. Lucas. Stop pushing me away. The scholarship abroad means nothing without you. So he'd known about my feelings all along. This emotional game had been under his control from the beginning. Ultimately, Lucas didn't pursue me. I only knew their story began at a literary competition, Chloe from Old Money. Lucas the scholarship kid from rural Ohio. The social divide in the 1990s made their connection seem impossible. No public displays. Just stolen glances I'd been too lovesick to notice during my first youth. Reborn in my teenage body felt exhilarating, leaving no room for revisiting their subtle dance. This time, I'd live authentically. Yet Chloe became my unexpected challenger. During freshman lecture, she flounced into the seat beside me. Evelyn. Heard you met Lucas yesterday. Academic discussion. Really? Her manicured finger tapped my biochemistry textbook. I kept reading. Pre-med students compare notes. Nothing unusual. Please. She scoffed. The whole campus knows you've been chasing after him since orientation. You expect me to believe this sudden indifference? Our eyes locked when I finally looked up. Chloe. I want what's best for both of you. Whatever admiration I had for Lucas is gone. You have my word. Her hostile glare transformed into delight as she sprang up, fluttering past me like some socialite butterfly. I turned to see Lucas lingering by the lecture hall doors, his expression unreadable. How much had he heard? Chloe triumphantly grabbed his hand, waving their intertwined fingers before dragging him to the podium. The buzzing classroom fell silent. Everyone. Her voice rang out. Lucas and I are officially together. Do keep an eye out for any overenthusiastic fans. The room erupted. Holy shit. Rockefeller heiress dating a townie? Since when do trust fund babies go for bio nerds? She means Evelyn. Right? Girl's been crushing hard since fall semester. I rose above the whispers, clapping loudest. A match made in heaven. May you grow old together in happiness. After 2 lifetimes of longing. They'd better make this last. Lucas' face suddenly darkened. He stiffly pulled his hand away from Chloe's grip. Ms. Peterson. Stop joking. I'm not worthy of you. Chloe looked stunned. That's impossible. You told me I was your true love. You promised to work hard and convince your father to accept us. We used to walk along the osmanthus path after lights out every night. You said. Enough. A commanding voice interrupted. Oh right, today was the administrative inspection day. Chloe's father, who was part of the Peterson family delegation, had her forcibly removed. Lucas seemed to exhale in relief when they left. He composed himself and sat beside me. I immediately gathered my textbooks to leave. Evelyn. Let me explain. Lucas grabbed my wrist urgently. Hey now. What's with the grabbing? Ethan sauntered over with his usual casual demeanor, breaking the tension. He subtly positioned himself between us. Facing Lucas. Freshly announced your relationship and already manhandling our class president? Trying to ruin her reputation. Thompson? Ethan was our classmate. In my past life. He'd remained unmarried. Wandering the globe. Whenever he visited whatever city Lucas and I lived in, he'd invite us out for drinks. He died at 58. They said he'd jumped from a cruise ship mid-ocean. No one understood why. Least of all me. His niece notified me about the funeral. Seeing him now as this carefree teenager filled me with complicated emotions. Lucas, unusually flustered, ignored Ethan's remarks. Evelyn, please. I tugged Ethan's sleeve. Feel like ditching class? His grin lit up the afternoon. Since when do I say no to adventure? We circled the track endlessly as the sun dipped lower. When golden light gilded Ethan's profile. I asked suddenly, ever think about life after graduation? He shrugged, turning with sunset in his eyes. Why borrow trouble from tomorrow? Born to the prestigious Harrison academic dynasty, Ethan carried his family's expectations in his name alone. His stellar grades clashed humorously with his laid-back personality, neither burdened by Lucas' broodiness nor his own family's formality. In that other lifetime, he'd dried every tear I shed over Lucas with terrible puns and smuggled snacks. Once I'd asked if he loved me. Evelyn. He'd laughed, flicking my forehead. Since when do I chase after someone else's shadow? That whole noble suffering shtick went out with Victorian novels. We're friends, don't overcomplicate it. But was that true? Why had his niece hesitated when handing me the funeral program? What truth had his furious nephew tried to show me before his sister shredded that suicide note? I think I knew. Yet chose to play dumb, hoarding my fragile happiness while ignoring the lifetimes in his annual glances. Suddenly I smiled. You're right. Who knows what tomorrow brings? After parting with Ethan, I walked back to dorms alone. The autumn leaves crunching like shattered parchment beneath my feet. Lucas suddenly darted out from nowhere, blocking my path. Evelyn, what did you mean by those things you said today? I want to explain. Chloe and I have no connection. You know her family background. How could someone like me ever be with her? I cut him off. Lucas, I don't appreciate people using pet names with me. Please just call me Evelyn. As for your relationship with Chloe, you know the truth better than anyone. Love isn't about social status but sincerity. If you've promised her a future together, keep that promise. You're talented and have great potential. President Peterson will recognize your worth eventually. I stepped around him, but he grabbed my arm. That's not, you liked me before. Didn't you? Why the sudden change? Let me explain. His voice trembled with self-loathing and arrogance. Trying to play the devoted lover abandoning Chloe while expecting me to sacrifice my happiness for their doomed romance. Lucas, why should I let you have everything your way? From then on, I actively avoided Lucas. Chloe returned to campus a week later. When scholarship announcements were posted, everyone was shocked to find Lucas's name missing from the Peterson family scholarship he'd won for years. He stood rigid before the bulletin board, jaw clenched, oblivious to his turmoil. Chloe linked arms with him cheerfully. I made a bet with Dad. Canceling your scholarship is his first test. You'll earn your living expenses through your own abilities. Right? Her voice brimmed with privileged certainty. Utterly unaware that this scholarship had been Lucas's lifeline, supporting his terminally ill mother back home. In our previous life, most of my writing income had secretly subsidized him too. His whitened knuckles betrayed his inner turmoil. Yet he couldn't bring himself to lash out at his beloved. Defeated, he forced a nod. Yes, I will. Chloe beamed. I observed them from afar until Ethan blocked my view. What's up? I waved an envelope grinning. Just got this month's writing payment. Dinner's on me. Deal. In a cozy alleyway, steam from our lamb noodle soups flushed Ethan's cheeks. When I handed him chopsticks, he automatically picked all the scallions out of my bowl. Noticing my stare, He rubbed his nose awkwardly, the same tell he'd had when lying about being happy for Lucas and me in our past life. Saw you avoiding scallions at the department dinner last time. Just habit. While I'd been chasing others, someone's quiet gaze had always followed me. I thanked him and dug in. Relieved. Ethan happily slurped his noodles. After dinner, we walked along the riverbank and ran into classmates. You two here? Chloe's treating everyone to celebrate her relationship with Lucas. Join us? The smirking girl was Chloe's friend who'd always disliked me, her eyes gleaming with malicious curiosity. Before I could respond, Ethan stepped in to decline first. No thanks. We're both full. You guys go ahead. As soon as the words left his mouth, Chloe walked over arm in arm with Lucas. She tightened her grip on his arm like staking a claim. We're all classmates, why the refusal? I heard you used to look after my boyfriend. Consider this dinner our gratitude. I glanced at Lucas. He awkwardly avoided eye contact. When Ethan tried to protest again, I gently pressed my hand over his. Sure. Let's join them. Though prices here weren't as outrageous as they'd become in later years, the crowd still skewed affluent. Chloe theatrically ordered several expensive dishes while Ethan and I picked at our already full plates, half listening to the sycophantic chatter. Suddenly the spotlight swung to me. Chloe slid a stack of cash across the rotating Lazy Susan. What's this supposed to mean? Ethan had been on edge all evening, reacting before I could even open my mouth. She tittered behind manicured fingers. This is the editing fees Evelyn here used to slip Lucas. Consider the debt settled. Her gaze turned razor sharp. Some people shouldn't act entitled over trivial favors. Like they've never seen a decent man before? The room froze. Everyone's eyes darted between us. Lucas turned scarlet to the tips of his ears. None of our classmates had known about those discreet payments. The boy who prized dignity above all had his deepest shame laid bare by the very person he loved. I wondered, without my silent sacrifices, could their fairy tale last? You've got no right, Ethan began. But I intercepted the cash. Why wouldn't I take what's mine? I shook the bills at him. Lamb noodle soup's on me tomorrow. What's there to fuss about? He scratched his head and plopped back down with a goofy grin. Tucking the money away, I met Chloe's glare. Don't mind if I do. It wasn't much anyway, just helping a classmate. Good karma. Right? Lucas' last flicker of hope died then. He'd wanted me to refuse. To deny everything so he could salvage his narrative, the brilliant scholarship student from humble beginnings, never needing handouts. But the weight of everyone's stares pressed his pride into dust. For some reason, it felt satisfying. His little humiliation was nothing compared to the lifetime of lies I'd endured. Later at the restroom sinks, Chloe materialized beside me. Remember your place, Evelyn. She purred, rinsing diamond-adorned fingers. Stay away from Lucas. I turned off my faucet, ready to leave. Suddenly she grabbed me, then dramatically fell backward with a gasp. Why push me? She wailed to our approaching classmates, tears shimmering on command. I only wanted to thank you. Ah. The classic first love act. I turned to see Lucas and half the dinner party frozen in the doorway, watching the scene. Lucas rushed over to help her up. Ethan stood by my side. I gave him a look to signal I was fine. Evelyn. What did you do? Lucas immediately accused without asking for context. I smirked. What you saw is exactly what happened. Why should I explain myself? Ridiculous. Chloe leaned delicately against his chest. It's nothing. Maybe Evelyn's upset that we're together now. Everyone knows she used to follow you around like a lovesick puppy anyway. Ethan. Our fathers just had dinner yesterday discussing introducing you to the Chen's eldest daughter. You really want to lower yourself hanging out with this kind of woman? Ethan massaged his temples, grinning widely. Worry about yourself first. You're shamelessly dating a gold digger living off women's royalties, while I'm befriending a self-made woman. Who's the blind one here? Get a life. He grabbed my hand and walked off. Outside, I couldn't help smiling imagining Chloe's stunned face and Lucas' embarrassment. Ethan chuckled along though confused. When I finally caught my breath, I asked, what if I really pushed Chloe? What if I am that bitter, unhinged woman she described? Ethan stomped his foot in mock exasperation. Then we fight. 2 against 2, we can't lose. His tone teased but his eyes burned sincere. So this was unconditional loyalty, choosing sides without justification? I used to think Lucas' silence was love's awkward language. Now I see it was simply indifference. Ethan's actions made my heart skip unexpectedly. He ruffled my hair and strode ahead. Today convinced me completely. I chased after him. Convinced of what? That Evelyn's done chasing after certain someones. Salt in the wound much? Wouldn't dream of it. Still want lamb noodle soup? Ethan broke into a jog as I laughed and followed. Neither of us looked back. At the dorm, Lucas leaned against the oak waiting. Ethan instinctively moved forward but I stopped him. Go ahead. Some battles I need to fight alone. He nodded silently. After a few steps, he turned back. If needed, punch him. I snorted. Got it. He walked away. One hand in pocket, the other waving goodbye. I smiled watching him disappear. For the first time, Lucas was completely ignored. He glared. When did you and Ethan get so close? What's it to him? I bristled. State your business. He hesitated before speaking. About earlier. I know you didn't do it. But Chloe's pride, old wounds. Could you humor her? Ethan's words hurt. For our past's sake. Let it go. Our past? What past? The sacrifices I made? The cold royalty checks never warming my hands? Or perhaps, in every one of his melodramatic nights, he called me Evelyn to ease his unrequited longing for Chloe? Lucas, don't be such a hypocrite. Stop lying to yourself. His face turned ashen. You knew, of course I did. That's why I wanted to stay away. After our confrontation that night, Lucas became scarce. Rumor had it he juggled classes with multiple part-time jobs now. Letters demanding medical payments from his family kept arriving like clockwork. The staunch traditionalist who'd once believed himself a celestial scholar emerging from rural poverty, how could he stoop to menial labor? Back when my subsidies and scholarships funded him, he'd maintained campus prestige while supporting his village parents. Perfect arrangement. Now those snowflake-thin letters crushed him completely. Ethan and I grew closer. Until his father appeared on campus. We were debating over lamb noodle soup portions at our usual spot. Why'd your bowl have more yesterday? Maybe the owner thought your twig arms couldn't finish it? Gender discrimination in this day and age? We're boycotting. Come on, Ev. Their broth's the best. Don't be hasty. Mr. Harrison chuckled behind us. Which place? Must try this legendary soup. After finishing his bowl, the silver-haired man dabbed his mouth elegantly. Quite decent. Owner. This young lady loves your soup. No more skimping on her portions, give her the same as the boys. Understood? Ethan finally burst into laughter he'd been suppressing. I shot him a glare. Cheeks burning. Mr. Harrison smiled kindly. So different from the Petersons' cold superiority. I'm here for a conference. My wife makes better lamb noodles. Evelyn. You should visit sometime. He left cash and winked at Ethan, who nodded solemnly. We'll get out of your hair. Evelyn. Hope we meet again under tastier circumstances. As we walked him out, Ethan tensed when I spoke. Your dad, what? Is awesome. I dragged him back inside. Hurry. I was starving, pretending to be polite. Turning, we saw Lucas in a greasy apron holding soup bowls. His resentful gaze followed me. I didn't understand his anger until he cornered me later. Reeking of kitchen grease. Chloe and I broke up. He blurted, resembling a bedraggled rooster. Her constant pressure, her father's expectations, I couldn't breathe. Calloused hands gripped my wrists. My last paycheck went to her dad's birthday gift. Didn't even send money home. I'm drowning. Evelyn. I pried free. Rubbing red marks. What's that got to do with me? His bloodshot eyes widened. You used to care. About who? I stared at this stranger. The proud scholar? Or this broken man who can't choose between pride and survival? His gaze softened as he looked at me. Evelyn. Perhaps we're truly meant for each other. See? The soul-crushing longing from our past life shattered pathetically against harsh reality. He'd romanticized the road not taken. Whether choosing me, Chloe, or anyone else, Lucas would never find contentment. The man was fundamentally selfish. Seeing my silence, he pressed urgently. I admit my past decisions were rash. But I'm changing. I'm no gold digger, look how I'm earning my keep now. We're two of a kind. Evelyn. Deep down, you've always loved me. Let's try again. Absolutely not. Given this miraculous second chance, repeating past mistakes would be self-sabotage. He continued monologuing. You're meeting Ethan's parents already? Do you even know his family background? People like us don't belong in their world. Evelyn. I'm your cautionary tale. Mention of Ethan finally drew my response. You're wrong. Lucas. Ethan's nothing like you. His sincerity burned bright, mirroring my own past self. How could this kindred spirit resemble Lucas? Stop projecting your flaws onto others. Ethan and I are friends now. Whatever develops, I'll approach it with clarity, cherishing authentic connections without romanticizing alternatives. Such depth of feeling eluded Lucas entirely. I walked away from his bewildered expression. Ethan emerged from the shadows, falling into step beside me. What's wrong? Nothing. Just appreciated your earlier words. Lucas abandoned part-time jobs to orbit me constantly. Convinced my rejection was temporary and my 3-year devotion couldn't vanish. Classmates whispered about role reversals, now he trailed after me like a lost puppy. Ignoring gossip, Ethan and I cultivated natural rapport. Though unspoken, our connection deepened under Lucas' daily scrutiny until his breaking point. Evelyn. Lucas blocked our path. Desperation curdling into malice. Enough games. I've apologized, what more do you want? Ethan and I exchanged bemused glances, unwilling to humor this spectacle. Is this about Chloe? You're using Ethan to punish me. Lucas' voice turned venomous. 3 years trailing after me, you'll never quit. Maybe I loved Chloe initially. But you'd have been content. Why ruin everything? Why make me confront these truths only to abandon me? Epiphany struck. This explained our son's warped mentality in the previous life. Poisoned bloodlines required complete eradication. At least I'd severed that possibility now. Ethan's fist collided with Lucas' jaw before I could blink. I made no move to stop him. Catharsis warming my veins. A scream pierced the air. Chloe threw herself over Lucas, tears streaking her face. How dare you hit him? President Peterson yanked her daughter back. Exasperated. We're here for your transfer paperwork. Your flight's tomorrow, stop this nonsense. Chloe clutched her abdomen, sobbing uncontrollably. Dad. I'm not going abroad. I'm pregnant with Lucas' child. Back then, out-of-wedlock pregnancy was a huge scandal. Ethan ignored the chaos in the room and dragged me away by the wrist. We never found out what happened afterward. On graduation day, Chloe cornered me. Spit it out. You're in a hurry to get your diploma and find a job. Right? Her face had lost its former arrogance, replaced by deep exhaustion. The baby's gone. My father forced me to get an abortion at some shady unlicensed clinic. There was complications. They had to remove my uterus. She stared hollowly at the floor. I can never have children now. To Chloe, this was world-ending. Personally? If it meant avoiding raising another monster like my son from my past life, maybe this was a blessing. Besides, a woman's worth isn't measured by her womb. With her family connections, rebuilding her life overseas should have been easy. I still don't get why you're telling me this. If you want someone to blame, take it up with Lucas. That child wasn't mine to begin with. Chloe let out a bitter laugh. Lucas is dead. What? My father sent thugs after him. One got overzealous with the baseball bat. Died on the scene. Her voice turned eerily detached. Funny thing, his last words were babbling about being some university professor. Claiming you were his wife. That you two had a son together. Delusional to the end? Wasn't he? They arrested my father and the goons. I've got nothing left now. Her bloodshot eyes locked onto mine. We used to be so close. Evelyn. He told me getting friendly with you was just to make me jealous. So why? Why did it feel like he actually fell for you? I took a step back. You've got this all wrong, Dash. She smashed her water glass against the table. Don't lie. That night we slept together? I had to pretend to be you just to get him drunk enough. Even then. He kept mumbling Evelyn, or was it Chloe? I couldn't even tell. Her voice cracked. I wore your perfume. Did my hair like yours. That's the only reason he touched me. I remembered my own confusion from the past life. Her sobs filled the coffee shop until Ethan yanked off his baseball cap from the neighboring booth. Rubbing his ears dramatically. He slouched over. Are we done with the soap opera? Some of us actually want to collect our diplomas today. Right. Priorities. We left Chloe mid-breakdown. Later rumors said she spiraled into madness after losing both her family support and emotional crutch. But that's another story. On the rickety train. A familiar lanky figure plopped down beside me. Thought your dad ordered you back to Haicheng? Ethan's grin was all teeth. Eh? My sister's the perfect child. Mom and Dad are thrilled I'm exploring opportunities here. I rolled my eyes. Pretending not to notice the Jiangcheng ticket stub peeking from his jacket pocket yesterday. As the train whistle blew. Watching the scenery blur past. It struck me, maybe this time. We could all find our own versions of happiness. Ethan and I might even learn how to love properly. He nudged my arm hesitantly. So, your parents passed years ago. Right? Were you spending New Year's? My mom makes killer lamb noodle soup. Wanna crash our family dinner? Couldn't hurt to try.